this is John here, and with me is my good friend Jim. And we're here today with the very first I've forgotten the name of it. Great Fret Spectations, that was the name we came up with, wasn't it? And this is all about playing guitar, learning guitar, and kind of, I suppose, the psychology of playing guitar, would you say, Jim?
I'd say so, yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, isn't it? And today's episode, we thought we'd talk about getting started with the guitar, because that's something which we all have to go through, isn't it? You know, I mean, I've been playing now 30 years, I think. And Jim, how long have you been playing?
Oh, gosh. Well, I suppose, I suppose you could say 50 years, maybe 60 years.
Wow, that's a long time, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a long time.
I wonder sometimes if, because, obviously we're still trying to get better. And I wonder sometimes, would I have started if I'd have known, that 30 years later I'm still trying to, get to a place where I think, I think I can do that now. I don't know if I ever get to that stage.
Yeah, it's an interesting journey. I think what we don't know is it's interesting in terms of how we get there. Well, I suppose I should start at the beginning. Anyway, my name's Jim, everybody. And this is a subject that John and I have often talked about. It's the journey of learning guitar, or I guess any instrument, or any skill really, anything that requires a high level of skill, is the journey. When you first start, what inspires you, and how you've acquired the various skills along the way. So I suppose my journey started when I was about 12 at intermediate school, and the teacher we had at the time asked us all to bring in a musical instrument the next day, or there might have been the following week. Anyway, we didn't have any instruments at home, so I didn't have anything, and other kids turned up. There was a few ukuleles, someone had a harmonica, and I remember someone had a zither, and I think there might have been one or two guitars. Anyway, over a period of weeks, the teacher taught us this little tune, Just a Closer Walk with Thee. And that was the start for me, I suppose. I was attracted to the guitar. I thought I liked the look of it and I liked the sound of it. So I said to Mum, went home and said, Mum, oh, look, everybody's got guitars, which was a blatant lie. So
yes, I've heard that one before.
So she bought me a guitar, and I'd put a plastic bag on each end and tie it around the middle and strap it on my back and bike to school. Probably get soaking wet myself, but at least the guitar stayed dry. And that was the start, just learning a few chords and singing some songs. And that's pretty much what I did for quite some time. Just learning songs by rote. I'd get the sheet music and follow the chords. And that was what I did for quite a while, until I kind of got more serious about it. And it was a real mystery of what was going on with the fretboard. I thought people just composed songs and found the chords and I don't know how they did it. It was a real mystery. And then I came across, I was busy with my career and one thing and another. So it kind of took a back, it was on the back burner, but I still had it around. And then I saw this chappie playing at a folk festival, and he was just absolutely brilliant. Played a Telecaster with a slide bottleneck, and then he also picked up his mandolin and played that with a slide bottleneck. And this guy I was so impressed with him. So I asked him if he did lessons, and he said, yeah, an American chap. So I went to him the following week, and he said, well, I've been thinking about you. He said, I think this is the first pattern we'll start with. And I said, oh, okay, what key are we in? And he said, no, we're not in any key. We'll just call it number 1. Otherwise, it will impede your progress, and it will limit you. I'll never forget that. So I was so impressed with this guy's playing that I would have done pretty much anything he'd said. And over a period of weeks, I know now that it was the cage system that he was showing me. And this comes back to what John and I talk about sometimes is information. If you're not ready for it, then it won't mean anything. And about 3 or 4 years before this incident with this guy, I'd been doing a blues course, and I'd made notes and stuff, and I would think I was on about the 4th pattern with this chap, and I suddenly realised, I think I've got some information on this somewhere. So I dug through all my bloody papers and stuff, and sure enough, there it was. The same information that he was showing me had been shown me, but I wasn't ready for it at that point in time. So anyway, getting back to that, so eventually got through these 5 patterns and the other 5 within them. And then I put a little rhythm track down on a little tape recorder I had, and it was like magic. I just felt, wow, this is, I can understand, well, not understand, but the fretboard is not a mystery. It's not a wilderness anymore. And, I mean, it didn't make me a great guitarist by any means at that point, but it certainly gave me an understanding of how the fretboard works. And that was one milestone for me. I can hang my hat on that little point.
So you learned the chords at school, did you? You had lessons at the school. Do you remember what that was like? Did they give you how did they do it? Did they give you a little chord chart, or they just tell you where to put your fingers, or that kind of thing?
Well, the first chords I learnt were on the ukulele.
Right.
Those
okay.
open
Oh,
chords.
so okay, ukulele first, yeah.
And that's an interesting thing, because not that long ago, I was talking to a lady who played ukulele, and I was talking about the different chords and the numbers they can have, and she said, well, this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. And I said, no, that's actually 1, 4, and 5. I said, but why do you call it 1, 2, and 3? Oh, she said, because I use 1 finger for that chord, 2 fingers for that chord, and 3 fingers for that chord.
Oh, right, yeah.
And it was another revelation as to how.
Yeah, if you guys listening and not too sure what Jim's talking about there, we'll get into the system of understanding music a bit later on. But yeah, everyone approaches it slightly differently, and that's all right, isn't it? Because you've got to kind of understand it your own way. I think I remember going to music shops, looking at books, thinking, oh my gosh, this is just like a scientist, But they were more complicated when I started, I think, because, there wasn't the internet, was there? And there was the library, and they had, I don't know, books, but they were very complicated, I used to think. But, I should say also that Jim and I have known each other. How long have we known each other?
Gosh.
20 years?
Must be 20, yeah.
Yeah. And
15 anyway.
Well, Jim came to me for a lesson, I think. Was that right?
Yep, that's right.
It's funny when you meet like-minded people. That's one thing that you don't expect from the guitar, because, I think, you don't account for the friends you meet, because, as I said, Jim came for a lesson. I think we just became friends, and, you got the same interest. So, that's good, isn't it? If you have a like-minded, passion for the guitar. But, so we've known each other a long time. We we played together a lot, and we thought we'd do this podcast because there's a lot of psychology in the guitar. There's obviously a very physical thing, isn't it? But it's very, if you don't have a goal in mind, it's very easy to get put off, by other people.
Yeah.
I remember going to a concert once with a friend, and we went to see Steve Vai, and I said to him afterwards, "Oh, that was great, wasn't it? I'm going to go home and practice." And he said, "No, I'm going to give up the guitar." And I said, I wonder why would you give up? It's still the kind of inspiration seeing someone like that, But it's interesting that, isn't it, how some people give up or, get that feeling when they see someone who's better with them. I think it's a good inspiration, really. But, like Jim, I should tell you how I started. I think my dad bought me a guitar when I was about 6, I think, and for one Christmas. But, I thought I had like an interest in it, but I didn't really know what to do with it, so I just, clonged it a bit. And then I thought, well, I didn't have any lessons, so I put it away. But my friends played, they were all playing in a band when they were younger. And but I was just really, really bad at music at school. I think they gave me a triangle to play in the orchestra. But I forgot I think my part had to come in at bar 260 something, so I had to count the bars. And I was thinking about what I was going to have for my dinner that night, so I forgot to come in. So that was the end of my musical career. But my friends played when, and then when I was a teenager, I thought, oh yeah, that looks really cool. I'd like to do that, And I got a guitar went to the guitar shop. And my friend, who I thought was brilliant, turned out he only knew 2 chords, but it seemed impressive to me. And so we went to the guitar shop, and I tried this guitar, and I said, "Oh, is this one good?" And he said, "Oh yeah, this one's great." And so I bought that guitar, and I remember getting that one home. I forgot a tape of me. I have to find it somewhere. Just me, picking at the strings, didn't know what to do. And I remember a friend showed me a chord. I think it was a D chord. Oh gosh, that took months to get that. Really a long time. That's why I was interested in you starting. Do you remember when you played the guitar, though, how difficult it was just trying to play a string?
Well, yeah, it's interesting. I can't seem to remember that point. That's very interesting. I remember learning those chords on the ukulele, but I can't remember learning chords on the guitar.
That might be a good thing. It was painful.
For some. I used to buy I like listening to. Oh, another inspiration was watching a college band from some guys that lived just up the road from me, and they, of course, then the Shadows were the big thing. And I went to a dance. No, it wasn't a dance. It was actually a concert, and they were the band. And it was obviously rhythm, lead guitar, bass, and drums, and that really impressed me. And for some reason, my mate and I were watching, and of course the lead guitarist is hardly moving his fingers, and the rhythm guitarist was this Pacific Island chap, and of course his hands are going really fast on us. And my mate and I came to the conclusion that he was the only one that was doing anything. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, well...
yeah, we thought that other chap's only miming or something,
Well, it's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know anything about music at all. I was a bit like you. I didn't know how... I remember going for driving lessons because I started guitar at 19. That was really late, I felt. But I remember going for driving lessons, and this driving instructor I had was saying that he played the guitar, and he proceeded to play me this music. He says, and this part here is meant to sound like a harpoon going into a whale. And he did like a volume swell. I didn't know what he was talking about, at the time. But I did wonder, how do you make these things up? I just didn't know. But I did start to have lessons, and I think the first kind of inspiration for me. I've told Jim this before, but I went to a lesson, and that was my first question from my teacher was, how do you, when you start a solo, it always sounds good. When I start, I was looking for notes, and eventually you'd find one that worked, but you'd have about 20 wrong notes before. So, but my teacher would play the right note instantly. I said, well, how do you know? What to play? And he said, oh, well, if it's an A chord, you play an A note. I said, what? That was amazing to me, because I didn't realise that there was a kind of theory to it. I thought it was just kind of magical. I don't know why I was having lessons, really, because I thought he was going to show me the magic of it, the secret of it, But it turns out there was a theory, but that was good, because that gave me a bit of hope of, I think I can learn this, if there's like an order to it. And like Jim was talking a bit about earlier, and we'll do another episode on the keys and, how you know what key you're in and that kind of thing. But I didn't know anything about keys or notes, or I didn't know there were notes, I don't think. Did you? Did you know there was notes? I mean, you learn by route, playing songs. That's good. I think that's a good way to do it. And then you can discover what goes into it afterwards. So you don't really need to know at first, do you? So that's a good thing. And I think most people, find their way that way, don't they?
Yeah. Just getting back to that cage system, I wonder, and I'm sure this chappie that showed me, and he didn't know that's what it was called. And I've wondered since then about the people that pick up a guitar and discover it themselves.
Yeah, that always amazes me, because I think if you lock me in a room with a guitar, for a million years, and someone said, okay, this is a guitar, you can do some great music with this. Okay, you go sit here for a million years and play. I'd never come up with anything. But these guys, just have the ability to play. It's amazing. I think that's what I'm trying to do by learning theory, because I never had I figured no skill or no musicality. That I figured, okay, well, I don't have any musicality or any ideas, but there is the theory which can help you. Now, if you're a great player and you can pick up the guitar and you've got, you're just very musical and you can work these things out, that's great. But I think for a lot of players, myself included, I don't have any talent, but you can get to quite a good level by, learning by route and learning through other people, I think, can't you?
Yeah. I mean, I've got to say that just strumming chords and singing songs was all I wanted to do for a long time.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? That's all I wanted to do. I think my goal was to play, some songs, maybe learn, I don't know, just a few chords to play a song.
Well, some ways I was a little bit different. For some reason, I'd find these songs that were kind of beyond my reach, really. They were jazz sort of things. And so I'd get the sheet music, and then I bought a book, the Encyclopedia of Chords.
Oh, I think I got that as well. That was very confusing, wasn't it? Did that confuse you? Because I saw all these chords, and it was like, 300 versions to play an E chord. Yeah. And I thought, oh, well, you've got to learn all of them, but you don't realise at the time they're for specific uses, aren't they? You might use one chord if it's in a funk song, or another one in a jazz song. I couldn't work out why do you need to learn all these chords, Yeah. I suppose, to be honest, you don't at first. You could just get away with, what would you say? G, D, E minor, C.
Yeah.
Pretty much you can play everything with those chords, can't you?
Yeah, there are those songs that they've got these changes that you hear that change and that really appeals to you. It's like the one that goes from, say, from a G to the B. That's kind of like, oh, I love that change, but I had no idea what was happening. But as time went on, I made a point of trying to recognise that, so I knew where it was, and the same for the 2 minor or whatever. And then, of course, the problem is, what do you well, that's probably getting a bit beyond, just a bit early for that. But yeah, as I say, I was quite happy just singing songs and strumming my guitar. And then I heard this chap playing country lead guitar. He did this intro at this pub that they were playing at, and it just caught my eye. It was like, or my ear, should I say. It was, wow, what was that? That was beautiful. That was the most prettiest thing I've ever heard. And it's right there. The guy sitting right there doing it, And I got to know this chappie in the local country music club. And he was amazing. He just seemed to be able to play anything and everything. And that really impressed me, was when someone would come up and sing a song and it was more than 3 chords. He just seemed to know where to go. And then a little bit further down the track, someone said, son, you've got to learn your family of chords. I said, what? Your family of chords, learn your family of chords. Wow, what on earth did that mean? I just thought people picked these chords out and used them. I didn't know there was a system to that.
Yeah, going back to what I experienced too. I didn't know there was any such thing as like you say, a system. But it's quite reassuring, to know that there is. But I think, but even before that, I think what you hit on there, Jim, was interesting, because it's really about inspiration, isn't it, when you start? Because when you start guitar, there's generally a reason why you've started. And perhaps it's because you've seen someone play, or normally for most people it's perhaps you heard something on the radio, or you hear a song you like. Because Jim is a country guitar player. I kind of like, my problem is I like all different styles, which is a bit frustrating, because I wonder if I'm actually getting anywhere. But the first inspiration was rock. I really wanted to play that. But it's whatever you do, I think it's good to have the inspiration, isn't it? Because when times get a little bit tricky with the guitar, you need to look at the big picture and say, oh yeah, that's why I'm playing guitar. I want to play like this guy. I want to sound like this. So if you're thinking of starting the guitar, or you have started, just think about who you like, that really keep you going. Because if you're just thinking about, I don't know, playing shapes and playing chords, and it's not too much fun. It's the songs you really want to learn, isn't it? That keep you inspired, I think. So Jim, did you always want, you were happy playing chords, but at what stage did you want to start, looking at lead guitar and soloing?
I think part of that reason was that when I was playing in bands, and I was the rhythm guitarist singer, is that there would quite often be problems with the lead guitarist's availability or his equipment or something, and I thought, how hard is it for me to learn to play lead and get a rhythm guitarist, because just about everybody can play rhythm. So the combination of that and hearing this chappie play, and I think one of probably the first, I guess, the lead line I learned was the intro to Memphis, Tennessee, Chuck Berry, and the solo on that.
Okay, well, that's
which
pretty good, isn't it?
That was that was my kind of my party piece, if you like, you know. And then the other thing that impressed me was the intro to Brown Eyed Girl.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that was a good one.
And the band I was in at the time, the lead guitarist we had, and I'd read an article about this guy actually when he was about 15, and he was what I'd probably call a natural, because the chap that he actually bought him his first guitar, he said he went away for about a week and he came back and he'd figured out what was happening on the fretboard.
Yeah, I've heard stories, guys like that. You know, pick it up and
he just somehow, I don't know, he just somehow figured it out. Maybe someone had showed him, I don't know, but he had a very good in. And when I said, "Oh look, what's happening here with this?" because it really impressed me. He said, "That's easy. Mm-hmm. And he showed me, and that resounded with me, the way that playing those double stops, what are they, sixths or not sixths, thirds.
Yeah.
So I guess it's what appeals to you. So I kind of figured out other ways to play that, and that kind of pops up a lot in my playing now, because I guess it's appealed to me. So that's why.
Yeah, I think that was inspiring as well. You know, going to a teacher and seeing someone, you know, a couple of feet away from you playing the songs that you like.
Yeah.
Because my teacher, you know, he liked rock, and that was the reason I went to him, because he played Satriani songs and Steve Vai songs. And, you know, I thought that stuff was, well, there's only one person who can do that, and that's them, you know, the artist. But when you see someone 2 feet away playing that stuff in front of you, you think, oh my gosh. Well, and the other thing which gave me hope was his fingers. He had fingers. And I thought, oh, well, I've got fingers too. And then I thought, well, he can do it. So if he's got fingers and he can do it, and he's sitting in the same room as me, there's no reason I can't do it, really.
Yeah.
You know, did you feel that with the teacher who was showing you the Brown Eyed Girl things?
Yeah, that's quite a big hurdle to get over, actually, for some people, is that for a long time I thought the top end of the fretboard was like the inner sanctum, and unless you came by some magical information, you weren't privy to going there. And yeah, I must say that you can be intimidated, and that can hamper your progress. But fortunately, I was reading different people's books at the time, and I seemed to come across the phrase that never give up.
Yeah.
Never give up. Winston Churchill was one of them. Never, ever, ever give up. Another one was Buddy Guy, said a similar thing. Never give up. Always have your guitar handy. Even when you're watching TV, pick it up, have a little go at what the jingle's happening on, see if you can find the key, whatever the jingle's happening. And I think that's important. Well, it's vital to have the passion.
Yeah, because I've seen a lot of, I teach guitar in schools, you know, as you know, but it's interesting. I see a lot of people who have talent and they pick up things very, very quickly, but they give it up quickly because it's no kind of challenge for them. They don't have the passion for it. But then someone who doesn't have that natural talent, but they've got the passion, they soon override the people who've got the natural talent. I think where it combines is when you have someone who's got natural talent and a huge passion for it, then there's no stopping those people. It's very, very difficult to catch them, I think. But yeah, that's the interesting thing I've observed from, you know, years of teaching guitar and playing guitar. But we'd love to hear from you. If you're just starting out guitar, if you've been playing a couple of years, it'll be great. You can write in, and I'll give you the email address. It's info@johncasonguitar.com, and that's JOHNCASSON.com. So info@johncasonguitar.com. We'd love to hear from you about your experiences, how you find learning the chords, at the beginning of your journey, and how long you've been playing, and does it get any easier for you? Just your story about starting guitar would be really fantastic. If you want to leave your phone number in your email, we can always call you back too, and we can have a little chat. That would be really good. So thanks so much for listening to this episode. Really good to speak to you, Sir Jim. Oh, Jim, you have one more thing.
Yeah, I just got one more quote, or two actually, the things I jotted down a long time ago. Desire and hard work make up for a shortage of talent.
Okay, good, yeah.
Now the other one is, you can never finish this stuff, you can only get better at it.
Yes, that's great. Yeah, I think that's one thing with music, isn't it? You're never done with it.
Nah, you just got to keep going.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for listening to this first Great Fretspectations podcast. Great to talk to you, and we'll see you next week. We haven't come up with a topic for next week, but there's so many different topics we can talk about. But if you've got anything particularly you want to hear us talk about in the podcast, do drop us a line to that email address I gave you before, and we'll see you next week.